Hello guys, and welcome back to another video where today, if you read the title, whatever I decided to title this video, then you probably think that I'm going insane. Or not, but I'm gonna be trying to unravel a game's mystery that is harder than FNAF. Even before MatPat made his full timeline, because I've had a lot of questions about this game, and you might be thinking that it's impossible, but Roblox games exist, and one that a lot of people used to know about, but over time went downhill. The game is known as Monsters of Etheria, and if you were around for a while, then you probably know where this is going. Monsters of Etheria on the surface doesn't seem to have any lore connected to it. Also, sorry why I am having black screen, but anyways. In Monsters of Etheria, before I get to the theory, you have two choices between a PvP server and a roleplay server. I'm obviously going to be joining a roleplay server so that I don't get constantly sniped by players. I'm also going to be closing the chat because I normally do that. And I'll be going into the Explorer because why not? But before I move on, whenever this decides to load, sorry that it's taking forever, but this video will take a long time. Give me a second. So it might seem like no mystery, but when you explore more in depth, then you start to wonder, why are there so little residents? Like, there's only Jax and 3 shop owners plus Anna in the town, and barely any residents anywhere. Not to mention, who made the waypoints? Now let's move on to who made the portal chambers. They're pretty off-center from the rest of the game. They seem to be in, well, 8 random places. Not to mention when you recommend the pyramid in the Alkan Desert or the underground lab. Not to mention that only some portals are open during the day and only some are during the night. Like, wouldn't they be able to open at random times? It's nighttime in the game right now and the desert portal is open. Why is that? Now let's move on to the next topic, keys. There's a key of greed, a key of gluttony, and a key of sloth. And you get the key of sloth by doing Scythe's task because he's too lazy to move, therefore representing the deadly sin of sloth. And you get the key of greed by crafting it at the power plant. That's the name. Yeah. By crafting at the power plant using a ruby, emerald, amethyst, I think that's how it's pronounced, diamond, and a sapphire. I might have to look at how amethyst is spelled. Anyways, you also need metal tons, because if you're crafting in the power plant, unless it's something that you can craft anywhere, then you need metal tons. And you might be like, well, what does this have to do with anything? It doesn't make sense. Well, that's where you're wrong. This actually does have to do with the fact of how you get the key of gluttony. You get the key of gluttony at some random old shack in the forest. It's normally on this desk nearby the window. The only other available object that's not a chair that doesn't have items on it. Like, why do you just randomly get that key? Shouldn't it be more elaborate to get that key? Well, then what about other areas? Moving on from the keys, we've got a lab nearby the Cave of Gluttony in a cave. Now, if you've played this game, then you know it's called the Dark Facility, or as the Confident Diamond likes to call it, Dark Labs in his roleplays. But then why is the lab so empty? Why is there so much equipment in this? What happened to all of the workers? And this lab did have workers, because if we look more in depth of this lab, we can see an office, which is where I'm going to right now, and apparently it's how you connect to the portals. And it's also the place where you can build WatchBot. Like, why would it have robot material? Now, I know that this office has the names of all of the developers, but You even get the Watchpot blueprints here. Why is it so mysterious? Not to mention that there are barely any residents, and we don't get any information about anything from any of them. Not about a lab or nothing. Most of them just give you a character and that's it. There's around 11 characters, and 5 of them don't give you characters because 3 of them are a shop owner. One is an elf, and the last one is just a man that says, "Hey, long time no see," and also offers a tutorial. If I pronounce that wrong by accident, then I'll just correct it, tutorial. But, like, why would this area be so isolated? And what about the catacombs? What do they fit into? The spotlight. It's where you find the snake egg, but why would it just have a random egg? I know it's for gameplay context, but you just need keys to open 3 random doors that have puzzles to solve that are around. Moving on from that, you then recognize that they're all old places. A haunted mansion for the Key of Gluttony, a random pyramid for the Key of Greed, and not to mention the catacombs for the Key of Sloth. But then, what happened to all of the power plant workers? Well, my theory is that the reactor core exploded, killing off most of the residents. That's why the place is so empty, and why most people... Sorry, I stopped mid-sentence, but as I was saying, it's why most people in the game not tell you anything about the lab. Oh, I forgot about Autumn. That makes 12 characters, but still. Where do the Titans fit into play? What about all of the Ethereans? And the reason why people know nothing about what happened to the town's residents is because, well, they're not from Alcaz. They're from somewhere else. In the Monsters of Etheria universe. And no one really knows how they got there. Like, Montana. We all know that she's a farmer, that Tarabi likes to steal her items. We all know that Autumn loves the fall season since since her name is Autumn. Okay, no, it's like... Okay, how do I... She's dressed up for the fall season all the time. And she says she's a magician. There's a magical hat in her house. But she doesn't know who made it. Why wouldn't she know who made the hat? It's because the person that made the hat had died from the explosion. Jax is mostly calm about everything because he's probably the newest guy. Willow, aka the only shop in the... Let me restart that. Willow, the only shop... the only shop owner that I can remember the name of. The Move Tutor and the Lucky Lotto guy all don't seem that worried. Why? It's because, well, they're just meant to do their job. Leonard is an artist, and it's obvious why you know nothing about him. It's because he's from a faraway region. Sally, being a child, asks for seashells and pearls. Since she likes to make a collection, is what I'm assuming. And that even proceeds on to Colin why he wants to get resources. He's trying to live in the Alcaz region, and Sai wanting to have you do all his deeds is because he's probably lost everything at his old town. Well, from where he used to live. Then we move on to our last character, Timmy, who, just like Sally, is a child. But why would he want to see a specific move? And it's only moves that you gain at a certain level. Not level 1 moves. Why would he want to see those moves? It's because from where he originally came from, he wasn't able to see any of those moves, and he probably read a book about all of these moves. So, therefore, a lot of these... Every character in Monsters of Etheria, except for probably Alfred, who I haven't covered yet, are all immigrants of Alcaz. And Alfred lives in a frosty village. But the frosty village is mostly empty. Like, who built the snowman? Was it Alfred? No one knows. Not to mention that you can dig bones in areas, and why does the shop tender allow you to sell items like bone flowers? Anything else? No one grew them. So now that I've covered every character, that means that I've solved the Monsters of Etheria, a 5-year mystery. Or shorter, I don't know. But anyways, bye.